Let's talk about bar prep. Hey everyone, my name is Jack. I'm a 23-year-old real estate investor and soon-to-be attorney, and on this channel I cover a variety of topics as they relate to real estate, investing, the markets, and pretty much everything else that has to do with personal finance. So if you like that sort of content, be sure to have a look around the channel, and if you like what you see, be sure to subscribe. But as I just said, I'm a soon-to-be attorney, not an actual attorney yet, because I'm actually taking the bar exam in February, so next month, and just about 4 weeks from today. Some of you have been asking me to talk more about my experience with law school, the actual legal profession, and then obviously preparing for the bar exam. So I wanted to take a moment to talk about the latter of that group, that being the bar exam. Because this stack of books is just for my bar prep course, and it's extremely heavy, and we're probably looking at about 45 pounds of books here just for bar prep, because the bar exam attempts to condense 3 years of law school down into a single test. So there's a ton of content that you have to know pretty generally just to get by and actually get a passing score. Now that I've been doing bar prep for about a full month now, since the end of December, and now we're nearing the end of January of 2021, I feel like I'm in a better position to actually give my 2 cents on the whole system, because it is a rather strange and goofy system, especially since you do 3 years of law school and you try to learn all these legal fundamentals and how to think through the law, how to research, how to analyze legal issues so that you can have the tools necessary to succeed as an attorney. At least that's the goal of law school. But generally how it goes is right after school you have about 2 months or so until the bar exam, and that's when you take your bar prep course or you do all of your prep for the bar exam. But it's weird because schools are generally not that involved with the bar prep process right after someone graduates. And you'd think that schools would have a vested interest in trying to take control to make sure that people pass, and that helps their numbers as a school, their employment numbers, their bar pass numbers, since that's really what matters as a law school, I would think. It's just a very strange system that I don't really see in many other professions. But if someone's in the medical profession or some other profession where maybe they do something like that, I'd love to hear it. Definitely let me know in the comments below. You suddenly have to review every single subject all at once, even if you didn't actually take a class on that in law school, and the law school kind of lets you do that on your own. Most law schools don't really do anything when it comes to bar prep. And then what often happens is law students essentially cut ties with their school, go straight to a third-party bar prep system. Often that's something like Barbary. That's the course that I'm taking. I think that's the most popular. I'm not too sure, but there's a few others out there, and they kind of dominate all of the bar prep. I don't know of anyone who prepped for the bar exam without some sort of course or professional help, since that seems to be the standard, since there is just a lot of information to cover, and you would probably miss a lot if you didn't use a more organized course. I'm not sure how you'd really be able to feasibly do it, since there's a lot of stuff that you probably did not learn in law school. There's certainly a lot of stuff that I didn't learn in law school, and I took a fairly broad range of courses. But just to get through this course that I'm taking, I'm looking at about 8 hours per day, 7 days per week for about 2 full months. So it is a long grind just to get through this prep to actually take the test in the first place. And of course, there's no guarantee that you actually pass. It is still very hard at that. It might be reassuring to some and very horrifying to others that you really only need about a 67% on the exam to actually pass. So you only need to get 2/3 of the questions right to then be allowed to practice law wherever you want. And that's any practice area you want. You can't practice in any state you want. You'll have to pass the bar exam for that respective state if you want to practice law in a different state generally. But just this morning I did 4 or 5 hours of bar prep before I'm filming this video. I will then edit this video, post it, and then get right back to bar prep. It is very hard to do much else outside of it. You only have a few hours a day of free time if you're really trying to get through all of the course materials and review all of the content that you really have to for the exam. Because even though getting a 67% on the test sounds easy, it is not. We are talking about 2 days of testing, at least in my case, where I'm going to go in to take the test in the morning, and I won't get home each day until about 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. So it is a full day of tests both days. It is not easy. It's very exhausting, and you have to just recall a ton of information to get through it. Well, one goofy thing about the bar exam in general is that even after you pass the bar exam, it doesn't mean you're a good attorney at all. It just means that you were able to pass the test. You're able to hopefully demonstrate some skills that suggest you could be a good attorney, but it doesn't make you a good attorney being able to pass the bar. Just like any job, what makes you a good attorney or good at whatever the job is actually working on that job and working with someone who is experienced in that field and learning from them. That's exactly how any field just about works. And in law, especially where things get very specialized, in my case, I'm going to be a real estate attorney, I don't really care much about criminal procedure, but I have to study it for the bar exam, and even the things I have to study for real estate for the bar exam are very cursory level things that aren't going to make me a good real estate attorney. What makes me a good real estate attorney would be working under a more experienced real estate attorney, learning the tips and tricks about the field from them, seeing what's efficient, what's not efficient on the job. These are things that law schools generally don't teach you. They might teach you some things here and there, but it's very broad, generalized knowledge that isn't usually going to help you very much when it actually comes time to practice. As I've mentioned a few times in the past, law school really is about teaching a way of thinking more so than it is about teaching the actual law, since usually law schools are teaching very broad common law or federal law that isn't really relevant to the area of law that you'll be practicing, which is probably governed a lot by a respective state law. And because they don't want to assume where students are going to be practicing, they keep it very broad and general like that. So you don't really get to understand a lot of the nuances of the state that you might actually end up practicing in. There are exceptions, of course, with certain courses, but on the whole, that usually is how it goes. And the bar exam often is no different. Most states have a uniform bar exam, which doesn't vary from state to state. So even in the bar exam for a particular state, you probably don't have a lot of state issues to actually learn about. Now, as for what the prep is actually like, I can speak to what the Barbary course is like in fairly general terms. You're going to go through lots of hours of lectures, reviewing each subject, usually taught by pretty good professors in their respective areas, and the lectures are pretty well organized and they get you through a lot of material pretty quickly, but it is a lot. You really have to be focused and on your game even when you're just reviewing. It's not something that you can just easily put on double speed and blow right through it and not take notes. It is very dense stuff, and you're reviewing a lot of things in every minute. So it's very hard to go fast through this. And more importantly, it's very hard to do while you're tired. You have to be focused through these lectures and through these review exercises. You get a lot of practice problems to go through as well to nail down these concepts. But again, there's so many concepts to nail down. First off, you're never going to get them all, but just the mental energy to get through a few hours is very taxing. So you have to be well rested going into the day. If you're not well rested, that day probably isn't going to be very productive for trying to retain a lot of this information, which makes things more inefficient, but it's a marathon. You just got to keep going, and you can't get too bogged down on any one subject because there are a lot of subjects to cover, and there's only so much of the exam that one subject can actually cover, so you're kind of helped there if you're not good at one area. It's only going to be so much of the test, so if you can be really good at other areas, you could hopefully make it up that way. One of the more annoying parts of the bar exam is that not every subject will actually be on it, even though you have to study for it, because it might be on it. There are a handful of subjects that won't actually make the test, which is quite annoying. But you are going to know what the biggest sections are going to be: civil procedure, criminal procedure, torts, contracts, property, and I think evidence is the last one. I'm going off the top of my head, so forgive me if I'm missing one. But you know what those big sections are going to be. They're definitely going to be on the test. But then there are a handful of sort of secondary categories that might be on the test but aren't there, and you got to study all of them, even though not all of them are going to be there. Just adding more inefficiency to the studying process, which is annoying, but I guess the point is they want you to have a broad shotgun knowledge of many different topics, even though that won't make you a good attorney, but hopefully they'll give you a good start to go in any direction that you want to go towards, but even then, that's pretty debatable. Perhaps the ultimate thing that the bar exam is testing is your ability to get through legal problems very quickly, and testing your reading comprehension, of course. They want to make sure that you can see details very quickly without having to spend too much time on it, since I guess that is a very important skill as an attorney. You need to be able to read things fairly quickly and be able to spot issues that someone else who maybe isn't looking for those sorts of things is going to miss most of the time. Which is another reason why you got to be well rested, not only prepping for the exam, but when you actually get to the exam, you have to be well rested doing it, because it's very hard to stay focused for those little details that they're going to try and throw at you that will be easy to miss if you're not really focused on actually trying to find them. But I think sometime over the next couple of weeks, I might do a live stream or something of me studying for the bar exam. I'm not going to be talking or anything, but you can watch me study if you want. If you happen to be studying for the bar exam, you can study along with me. We can keep each other accountable. I really want to do it as a way to keep myself accountable, since it can be very hard to just stay on task for 8 to 10 hours in a day just trying to actually study for one thing, the bar exam. It's a lot to try and focus on, especially again, when I know I want to be a real estate attorney. So it's frustrating having to study other subjects, but got to do it for the test, so I'm going to do it. But if you guys have questions about the bar exam and the bar prep process, definitely let me know in the comments below. I'll do my best to record some of my experiences leading up to the exam and actually through the exam as well if I can. I won't be able to record the test, of course, but before and after I can give my quick take on it, and I'll definitely share it here. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss those updates. And if you don't care about that, well, thanks for watching through this whole video anyways. I appreciate it. I do need the watch time, and that is great. And if you like this video, please like it, since that would help the channel out a lot. And if you like this sort of content about law school, I do cover a lot of other stuff about investing as well. If you'd like any of that sort of content, definitely be sure to subscribe, since I put out new videos every single week and wouldn't want you guys to miss out. And I've got lots of free goodies in the description below. Some of those are affiliate links where we can both get free stuff when you sign up. So please go ahead and check that out. There's a lot of free money down there. Please go get it while it's there. But until next time, take care.